Hello, my name is Dylan Smith and I run a video production company that specializes in documentary and corporate work. Today I want to talk about my love and hate relationship with gimbals. So when I first got started, I started with a very small camera and a microphone, and I thought, oh my god, I could just film with these two and get amazing looking shots that are nice and steady and don't have to worry about anything. Soon did I realize that how hard it was for me to get steady shots. And at the time, in about 2017, 2018, that time when I was first doing professional work, I was looking online trying to find ways, how do I get stable footage and all this stuff and all these tricks that I tried that didn't really work, or maybe I just thought, oh, there's got to be an easier way. And at the time, what had become relatively affordable was a gimbal. So I bought the Ronin RSC at the time, I think it was, and this gimbal could hold my small little Canon SL2, and it worked amazing. Then I upgraded the Sony a6400 and it worked amazing on that. And then what happens is you think, oh my god, I need this gimbal to get good footage, otherwise I cannot get good footage. And that's really where I was for about 2 years. Everything would either be on a tripod or on a gimbal. And because I wanted everything to be moving, I wanted everything to be this nice looking shot, maybe I shot everything on a tripod for interviews, but everything else was just shot on a gimbal because I wanted this nice moving shot, and everything kind of looked robotic. I would often watch new reviews on new gimbals, even though I didn't really need a new gimbal, but I would just want to see what advancements the new ones had. I would honestly see from working professionals, people who've been doing this for 10 plus years, the use of a gimbal was too robotic. And I would often see them still using a Steadicam, what was popular before gimbals. But the problem with a Steadicam, you have to do so much balancing, like a technique to it. The biggest issue with a gimbal is, let's say you're using a zoom lens and your zoom lens goes in and out. Every time you go in and out, that gimbal is working harder to essentially stabilize your shot, and often it can throw off the balance. All these little things kind of amount to inconveniencing the client. Maybe you get to a shoot and it takes 15 minutes for you to set up your gimbal and set up everything before you can actually shoot, and it's just all these inconveniences that made me not even want to use a gimbal anymore. And then I discovered top handles. Now, top handles are absolutely amazing. They essentially allow another piece of metal to connect to your camera, to be above your camera, so then you hold it with one hand. So essentially you're holding the camera and gravity is doing the work to stabilize it. The only thing you really have to do is make sure your shot is level, which can be pretty tricky with a top handle. You get a top handle, then you get a side handle, then you get several side handles, and now you're really cooking. You're now really getting this nice steady shot. So the bigger that you make your camera physically, the steadier shots you're gonna get. And that's really what I realized in the last year or two. The more handheld, the more beautiful, the more pleasing your shots you're going to be able to look at. And you might ask, like, so your question now is, what do you use gimbals for? It's about 4 things. Number 1 is real estate type shots. And I don't do real estate video, I do stuff for construction companies, but with those type of videos, I always need these wide interior shots. It's just not something I could do handheld. The only time I would ever shoot handheld is if the IBIS worked with such a wide angle lens, which it doesn't. So my choice of this would be gimbal, until I can do it without a gimbal. The next thing I'll use a gimbal for is just running with a subject or walking with a subject. If I'm shooting something like soccer, I really need to follow a player, like I need to get a super dramatic shot. And with my soccer documentary, I really haven't done this at all yet, and I do plan on it soon. I just haven't really, with a documentary, it's really focused on emotion and like these holding on a shot for long. I'm not filming action commercial, but it seems like I might one of the soccer team's sponsors, so we might do something like that where it's some kind of following shot. It's something that I definitely will do if I need to. Like I said, like all this stuff is just another tool to get the job done, is what a gimbal is. If I'm filming a commercial, filming something for a client, and I just cannot get a handheld shot with my regular camera, the biggest advantage to a gimbal is you can hold it up, like you can hold like essentially a gimbal up and get super high shots and go high to low I've done this before with my handles on my big camera, to where I put the camera above my head. And the fourth thing is if I need something that needs a motion type of control things. With one of these bass music videos I did for Ninja Sam, we had the gimbal on the ground. So I used the iPhone app on the Ronin, on the DJI Ronin. I was able to essentially control the gimbal with my phone, and I put the camera with the super wide angle lens, and I got this really, really unique shot of the camera looking straight up, and I was able to tilt the camera really, really fast with my phone for a specialty shot, like for a music video or something like that. That's another time I'll use the gimbal. But I mean, essentially you could do the same type of thing with some kind of tripod rig. You might be at the stage to where you're using a gimbal a lot, and I'm not telling you what to do, because I definitely saw tons of videos when I was in that stage. People were saying, oh my god, I don't use a gimbal anymore, I just do everything handheld. And I was confused. I was like, how do you do it? And the truth is, some people have what I call gimbal hands. They have gimbal arms. They just are able to get more steady shots naturally without even trying. And it's just kind of how it is. I feel like it's kind of genetics, and you definitely can learn, you definitely can just practice. But I truly think it's genetics, because I've hired people who have this ability, if you want to call it that, and I personally can't do that. So I have to put tons of handles on my camera, and I have to do all this stuff to get good stable footage. Some people don't have to, if you're gifted with that. When I first discovered a top handle, it did take me, okay, I need to put top handle, okay, I'm getting pretty stable shots. I will say a side handle that I would really recommend to anyone who's trying to get more stable shots. And if you're out there and you haven't reached that gimbal phase, you're still using, maybe you're just getting started, please buy the top handle instead of a gimbal. You can get stable shots handheld. In my opinion, if you can get handheld shots without a gimbal that they are similar to a gimbal, but they sort of have this still handheld feel that looks really nice and really pleasing to look at. If you can get shots where you're following somebody, you're walking with somebody handheld, you are more talented than people who can use a gimbal, because the gimbal shots are just going to look robotic no matter what you do. Unless you have a Ronin 4D, which if you do, tops up to you, because that's just an amazing camera, but the price on that is a lot more than just a gimbal. So yeah, shoot everything handheld as much as you can. These are just my recommendations based on my experiences. Do what you want. If you have a hot take on this, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation with you, and I'll see you guys next time.